The United Nations estimate that more than 90% of the farmers' varieties have disappeared from the farmers' fields in the last 100 years.
Food directly affects every aspect of our life. It affects the climate, it affects the economy. Bringing this awareness to the people means changing the way they behave today for a better future, for a sustainable future. I have had a passion for food and cooking right from childhood. As a food designer, I study the interaction that humans have with food and the cultural influences that surround it. So for us to understand what our food landscape could be in 10 or 20 years, we would have to go back and trace our past. And to do that, we will have to look at recipe books. One such recipe book that I treasure are the books that my grandmother left back. What sparked my interest was the fact that it had a lot of ingredients and vegetables that I did not know of. I hadn't seen them in my lifetime. I had to find out why these vegetables were not present in the kitchens or why these vegetables were not present in the market. There has to be a reason to it.
My name is Sangeeta Sharma. I work on sustainable agriculture. I travel the length and breadth of India to understand where the food equation was gone wrong. Why were we having to consume pesticides? And this search took me across villages, farmers, and that's when I understood that wherever I went, the farmers did not have access to their own legacy of seeds, their heritage of seeds. Seeds is the missing link. Seeds do not belong to the farmers anymore. They belong to a handful of multinational corporations. How can we lose these indigenous varieties that are our heritage?
For us to find out the answers to these questions is very important. Only then we can prevent from such patterns repeating in the future.
We have over something like 29 varieties of lettuces and about 8 varieties of basil. Most of these varieties will not be seen in supermarket shelves because this food heritage is getting lost every day. This whole chain is controlled by a handful of corporations.
It would be sad to see such vegetables being presented in a museum, saying that these species went extinct.
We must safeguard the indigenous varieties of not just India, but across the globe. We are blessed because we are connected with farmers across the nation who are growing crops without chemicals. And here today, we support them by providing them the know-how. We help them save their ecosystem's seeds so that they can propagate them and safeguard those varieties that are being lost every day. As I speak, 200 species are getting lost. Who's held responsible for that?
For me, working with food is extremely satisfying. Some of these traditional vegetables, they can be shown how good they can taste when they are cooked in the right way. I'm extremely inspired by the work that Sangeeta does. If we don't have such seed walls and banks, these seed varieties would just get lost. But to bring these seeds to use, we will have to start cooking with them. I discussed with my mother and we said, okay, let's do a 100 days challenge where each day we cook with one of the under-recognized vegetables. There's a lot of engagement and they started contributing. The biggest surprise that I had was that a lot of them were right around us, like the pumpkin flowers or the moringa flowers. You know, if you forage for them, you can find them in your street, in your garden. The notion that anything that you cook with has to come from the market or it has to be packaged in a fancy packaging. You know, it's hard for us to accept that anything that grows around you that is edible can be cooked with.
So here we have rucola and onions. These are all the avocado. 12 varieties of brinjal is sown. We have chilies, fennel, basil, 15 varieties of tomatoes that are sown here. This is carrots, parsley. There's rosemary there. Everything is here. In just 2 acres, we showcase a diversity as rich as over thousands of varieties coexisting. And if today we are reaping abundance, it's because we respect the soil, we respect our planet, our earth. Seed cannot belong to a handful of multinational corporations. Seed is a gift of life to life itself.